Welcome to the Powerlifting and Power Ballads podcast, where we bring you a weekly dose of powerlifting news, tips, and training advice with a touch of 80s rock ballads. This podcast is presented by Team Roar Powerlifting, your source of the most comprehensive coaching and meet day preparation. Here are your hosts, Josh Rohr and Laura Sturm.
Welcome to episode 142.
Hey, Laura Sturm.
How are you, Josh Rohr?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm great.
Cool. So we took a nice week off, mostly out of laziness on my end, but it was a nice break. So the real reason, it was laziness, but it was also forgetfulness. I forgot to make the graphics and do the voting for the championship round of the tournament.
It was the championship round.
Yeah, and Stacy actually texted me. She's like, "Hey, are you going to do the tournament or what?" And I'm like, "Oh shoot, I forgot." So she always reminds me when I forget stuff, but I'm like, I was so busy and I had stuff going on. I'm like, we're just going to skip it, push it back a week. So anyway.
Wow. And you're a parent now. It's different.
I mean, it wasn't even
you
that.
have excuses now.
Okay, that was it. That was the problem. It was being a parent.
Yes. Always blame it on your kids.
Good to know.
So
Good
what's
advice.
going on in the powerlifting world?
So the Atlanta Open and Primetime was this past weekend. We had 3 lifters competing. Jacob Blevins competed. He went 9 for 9, placed 8th in the 242 weight class. He had a 12.5 kilo PR squat and a 7.5 kilo PR deadlift, and then he ended up totaling a 22.5 kilo PR. He totaled 600 keys, which is kind of one of the milestones he had. And I think he could have done more. I mean, I think everything looked pretty solid, pretty easy. And, I think it's only upward from here. So that's pretty cool.
Nice.
That was the Atlanta Open in the morning. And then the Atlanta Primetime event was that evening on Saturday. Alicia, Webb, and Olivia Vilella lifted. Lee went 6 for 9 and placed 4th. She hit a 207.5 kilo squat, which is only half kilo under her meet PR. And she pulled 210, which is only 1 kilo under her meet PR. And she totaled 535, which is 5.5 kilos under her meet PR. So it wasn't the day she wanted. She definitely had a lot more left, I think. Just things didn't quite go the way we'd planned there. So good news is we got a few months to get all that honed in for nationals. And then Olivia, kind of the same storyline. She went 6 for 9 as well. She placed 3rd, so she actually just placed just ahead of Lee. But she had a 187.5 kilo squat, which was a 5 kilo PR, a 115 kilo bench, which was a 2.5 kilo PR, and then she totaled 485, which was a 2.5 kilo total PR. So I think overall everybody did pretty solid, but I know Lee and Olivia both were capable of more, and both felt like they could have done better and should have done better. So I agree. I think that they both can do and will do better at the next meet. So that's exciting. There was something else I was going to say. Oh, this is it's related to the meet, but I took equipment to the meet. So it was at Meadow Creek High School, which is where we had the state meet all those years.
Yeah.
But they put a new little curb like ramp outside the gym, and we always just like parked on the street, unloaded, and wheeled things up the ramp. I say new, it's been there for years now, but anyway. But I had to leave to go to a wedding on Thursday, so I had to drop the trailer off on Wednesday. And so I'm like, well, I'll just have to park it somewhere else, and you guys just have to figure it out. She's like, well, is there any way you can get it up on the curb, like, and park it like in the grass? Like, I'm like, I don't know. Let me think about it. So anyway, I found this ramp on Amazon that I was able to use to get the trailer up on the curb, and it got here. I ordered it too late, but it actually arrived like 5 minutes before I was planning to leave to go up there. So it was like perfect timing, and it worked. But the whole point of this story is it was off road pulling the trailer in the grass, and it was kind of like raining. So I got to, not only did I get to use 4-wheel drive, I had to use 4-wheel drive. So that was the whole point of
Yeah.
this story, is I got to play in the mud pulling a trailer around.
Woohoo. Yeah,
Yeah.
because when you said you had to bring it up on the grass, I was like, ooh, with all that weight when it was wet. But you didn't get stuck.
I didn't get stuck, but I did leave some tracks, but they said it was okay. So
Hey, as long as they say it's okay,
yeah, whoever
whoever
they
they
is.
are.
Exactly.
Yes.
So one thing with the Atlanta Primetime meet that they had, which they had at the Carolina Primetime as well, I want to get your thoughts, is they actually assigned warm-up stations. So they basically said, okay, this lifter, you're warming up on platform 1 warm-up station. This lifter, you're on platform 2, etc. What are your thoughts on that?
Hmm. I guess my first thought is like, if it's not broken, why fix it? Like I've never really had much of an issue warming up. So
Yeah.
why overly complicate it? Like why institute that? I mean, maybe they had a good reason for it and I just don't see it.
Well, I think so. Put it this way, I don't like it at all, but I don't disagree with trying it, because I think meet directors are just in general afraid to try new and different things. And I
Right.
think that that's necessary. So I have no problem trying it. I just don't think the reason I don't like it is, um, so at Carolina Primetime, it worked okay, for the most part. But one of the issues was flight B was equipped lifters and flight A was warming up first. And we had to start during flight A, and some of the lifters were like, well, are you assigned to this platform? And we're like, well, actually, yes, we are. Well, you're in a different flight, blah, blah, blah. So like, they're just like, why are you here? And
Uh,
there's only 2 lifters on the platform anyway. So it's like, really, you can't, you're upset that there's more than 2 on a platform, a warm up platform. Like you
hmm.
have never, anyway. Well, anyway, I wasn't at this meet because I was at a wedding. But I guess what had happened. So first of all, we had 2 lifters competing, and they were assigned different warm up platforms. So that was a little difficulty, because the people we had there helping like were gonna have to like go separately.
Right.
Um, so what I heard through the grapevine, which I'm not gonna say names or who or anything like that, but basically one of our lifters was on a platform, and there's another team there, and basically they brought their entire team over to that platform and said, hey, we're all going to warm up here. We'll work you in and everything, just letting you know, like they're all going to be here. So people weren't, basically the long story short is people weren't following the assignments is the
Hmm.
reality.
Right.
So the people that were expecting one thing because that's what was written, was not what actually happened. And, we had actually, so I actually emailed Elizabeth ahead of time and asked her like if we could switch. She's like, well, I'm not going to change the assignments, but you can ask like a lifter on the other platform with one of your lifters if those 2 individuals can switch. That way,
Right.
your 2 lifters can be on the same page, but obviously respect it if they say no, right? So, but other people, I guess, kind of just took that as we're going to warm up wherever the hell we want, and whatever.
Right. It's kind of odd because it's kind of imposed on you to self police that, and adhere to it out of the goodness of your heart. But then when people aren't, it's kind of like lining up for Southwest. You take Southwest, right? Where everybody's given a number and you're supposed to line up. And then like, but if you get that low number and you're that person who like cuts in front of everybody looks at you like, really? Did you have to do that? Do you have to really? And like, well, I got the number. But like, yeah, it's weird. Like that, I find that's why I don't like about Southwest. It's weird. I can tell you like Southwest because of
I
this.
love Southwest. That's funny because that's what we flew this weekend, and that's basically the only airline we fly because we love it.
It's this weird, like self-imposed, like, hey, we're all gonna line up, but am I kind of being a jerk if I have a low number and I'm getting in front of people? And then other people would be like, oh, I'm just gonna get in line here. And then like, what are you gonna police them? Because nobody else is. And it's just, yeah, I found it weird.
Yeah, so I love it, but here's the cool part. So their computer like, so yeah, A1 through 30, I think it is, goes first. But the computer, if anybody that's above A30 goes, it like makes this noise. It goes, ah, and basically is like red flags them and they have to leave. So that's my favorite part of it, is watching people trying to cut the line that just gets that loud buzz. So every single person on your flight knows that you are the cheater that tried to cut in line. And
Nice.
you just get
I
publicly
didn't know it
shamed
did
by the
that.
computer. Yeah, it's great. I love it.
Yeah.
It doesn't happen so much anymore, but I think that must have been new at some point, because there was a whole bunch of people just getting that, and then you see them just like head down, walking back to the
A
back.
walk of shame. I was trying to board before I was supposed to.
But the best part of that
Amazing.
is that usually means they're like one of the last people to board. So that means that they have to then board after everybody else is seated, and they're watching you step on the plane when you were supposed to, and everybody knows who you are because the big noise drew attention to you.
Yeah. So I guess it's weird to have assigned warm ups. And I just don't know that it's a necessary. And I can see how, like in your situation, it probably didn't make things go smoother.
Yeah, I just don't think it. I mean, I get the concept of it for this meet because it was the primetime meet, and there was literally 6 warm-up platforms for one platform of lifting. So it basically there's either 2 or 3 people assigned to each platform. So I get the concept. It's like basically guaranteeing that you kind of have like only 1 or 2 people you're sharing with, and everybody can get through. But the other side of it was both of our lifters were basically doing the same warm-ups up to a certain point, but because they're on 2 separate platforms, we had to load and unload it twice instead of whatever. So I think I don't know, I think it's I mean I'm not against the idea of trying it at all. Like I'm cool with that, but I think it's proven that it's not necessary, I guess.
Right.
Because at the end of the day, if there's 6 warm-up platforms and there's 7 people on one platform, if they want to do that, that basically just means that there's an empty platform for every other single person in the flight. So if somebody wants to do that, let them.
Right.
Anyway.
So what else is going on in the powerlifting world?
Let's see. So right after we posted our last episode, which was like 2 weeks ago, they actually posted the job description and information about the executive director position for USA Powerlifting. So they put it up on May 12th. Applications for people interested are due by 5 p.m. on June 12th, which is coming up here pretty quickly. The anticipated hire date is no later than December 1st, and the salary range is anywhere between 80,000 and 105,000 based on experience and stuff like that. So yeah, it's a full-time position. It's a pretty good salary position. So hopefully somebody that I guess knows their shit. Hopefully multiple people that know their shit sign up so that we can have a really, really good person take over.
So what do you think would make a good candidate?
I was thinking about that. I'm actually not sure. I actually think I'm trying to decide if it's somebody that actually has really good understanding of USA powerlifting and been involved, or if it's somebody that's like has track record of like running successful organizations. And like delegating to different people and just like
more of a business background.
Yeah. So I'm actually not sure. Like I can make a good case for both. And maybe there's somebody that has both. I mean, that would be ideal, I think, but I don't know that person exists. Maybe they do. I don't know.
Right.
But if they do, that's the other thing though. Like if they do,
right. Would they also be looking for a job right now?
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. And that's a pretty hard pivot. Does it help build your resume in the long run, or are you taking a sidestep? You got to think about these things.
Yeah. And, if it's somebody that's doing this like for the long term, like they're probably a power lifter, but then I don't know. It'll be interesting. I'd be interested to see like who all applies and, what the backgrounds are. I'm actually really excited about it to kind of, I'm excited and scared because my biggest fear is that we get somebody that takes over that's basically like running the show that doesn't know anything about powerlifting. And, there are some cons to that, obviously. Like, there's some pros, like, but there's some pretty big cons, like how everything works together, just like, if you just don't know anything, like you don't even know what drug-free powerlifting means, like, there's a lot of things that I could see going wrong. But they obviously the executive director still has to answer to the executive committee. So, it's not like it's going to be completely run off the rails, but I don't know. I am nervous about it. I'm excited and nervous simultaneously.
Right. Because always good perspectives, and someone who's not been in that position, I think, would bring some fresh ideas too.
Yeah, exactly. And that's the positive of it. Like, there might be some things that somebody new comes in and just like, why are we not doing this, this, and this? And then it's just like, oh my gosh, like that makes so much sense.
We were doing that because we've been doing that.
Right. Anyway.
Okay. All right. Well, on to the voting.
It's time.
The championship round. It came down to 2 lists: brown, which means nothing to anybody, and sky blue, which also means nothing to anybody. So can we talk about some of the songs that were on these lists?
Yeah, let's do a run through. Do you have your list up?
I don't. I was hoping you did.
Well, I do, but
good thing.
Okay, so the brown list, their number 5 song was On the Road Again by Willie Nelson. Number 4, Dreams by Fleetwood Mac. Number 3, Sweet Home Alabama. Number 2, Life is a Highway, Tom Coltrane version. And the number 1 song they had was Take It Easy by the Eagles. So that was the brown list. The sky blue list, the number 5 song was Lowrider by War. Slow Ride by Foghat, number 4. I Can't Drive 55 by Sammy Hagar was number 3. Take It Easy by the Eagles was number 2. That was number 1 on Brown's list. And More Than a Feeling by Boston was number 1. So that was the championship lists.
And the winner between the two was Sky Blue.
Sky Blue, 8-12.
So who were the people that submitted these lists?
I still don't know. Let me look. So Brown was Don Dotson. So Don was eliminated, and Sky Blue was Amy Pancake.
Nice.
Congratulations, Amy Pancake. I feel like they were in the championship last time.
I'm pretty sure they were, actually. Well, and I have to say, Brown was my favorite list.
Oh, interesting.
But, underdogs.
Yeah.
Never win. But, Amy's list was good too. Okay.
I forgot to vote.
Me too.
Wow, we're the worst.
Yeah, pretty much.
So congratulations to Amy Pancake. You have won $100 worth of Team Roar apparel.
Has she won before?
I think so, but I don't know. I don't remember. We need to keep a record of all this at some point.
Amy would know if she's won before.
Yeah.
She can let us know. I
know Don has won before, but so I know Don has won, and I think Don has been in the championship multiple times too. Maybe Don has won twice even. I don't know. I don't really know anything, actually.
Well, maybe Don can let us know too.
But I did get a new idea. So I was listening. I accidentally stumbled across a random podcast unrelated to anything. It was something about, I don't know, it was a stupid title, and I listened to like 10 minutes of it, and I'm like, I can't listen to this. It's just stupid. But they had one good idea, because I guess they're recording on Zoom as well, but they were making faces or something like that. And the lady's like, that only we can see this. So the guy's like, all right, so here's the plan. Anytime for the rest of the time we do this podcast, if either one of us makes a face or like holds up something to show us, like the other person has to only verbally describe what that person just did. So when you did the drum roll, that made me think of it. Starting now, if anybody, like, if either one of us like uses our hands or like explains something or shows something, like the other person instantly has to, whatever we're talking about has to stop, and the other person has to verbally describe,
narrate
what was happening.
Yeah.
And that's not a challenge. That's not something I want you to start doing just to make me say stuff, because that's not funny. But it can only happen naturally.
Okay.
And that's
Deal.
honor system.
All right. And then
Okay.
now I'm thinking, have I done this a lot where I've totally gestured
Yes.
with my hands?
Yes. All the time.
Well, people should be watching.
Anyway, let's
Okay,
move on.
deal. All right, powerlifting situation. Boom, boom, boom. Your gym owner offers to buy some powerlifting equipment for the gym. It gives you 4 choices for your preference. So I guess you only can choose one of these 4.
Yeah, that's
Just
the idea. Like, they ask for your
Okay.
input, so you got to give them.
Right. But we only have this much budget. So here's what you get. A is 2 Alico powerlifting bars. B is 6 Rogue Ohio bars. C is 1 set of Alico calibrated kilo plates. Or D, 1 ER rack. Which do you do?
Laura, what do you do?
Ooh, I would probably go with the 6 Ohio bars because it's a fine bar and you can get 6 of them for the same price as the other stuff. And a good barbell with the grip, you know.
Yep.
Yeah, good barbell with grip. It doesn't, bow too much. I hate a barbell that's way too thick, like awful. Alico powerlifting bars, I'm sure they're nice, but I don't think for training you really need those.
Yeah, they're like $1,000 a piece.
Yeah, they're expensive. My other choice would be an ER rack, perhaps, but you can kind of make do without an ER rack too. And there's probably a lesser cost choice to get you something that's pretty close to the same functionality. So, Rogue Ohio bars for sure.
Yeah, that's actually my preference in that order too. I was hoping you were going to say something different.
Ha! So now you have to say something different.
I would totally go. I'm not going to. I'm going to actually agree with you for a change. I actually would go with the 6 Ohio bars because those are competition quality bars. And, assuming the gym is not just you and 1 or 2 other people, it makes sense to have 6 bars versus 2. The Alico bar again is, it's a okay bar, but they're freaking $1,000, which is stupid to me. The Rogue bars are like $350, so you can get, more than 2 to 1 on the bars there. And then you essentially can have 6 lifters training on them at the same time. The ER rack is also, it's a good option too, but again, that really only 1 or 2 or 3 people training at a time. And, it's, for the bench, it's probably nice. For somebody that needs racks for squat, it's probably nice, but like the majority of people I think would benefit from a good bar because, shitty bars are just shitty bars. And that, regardless of what the rest of the equipment is, that makes the whole lift not as good. So, I would not do the set of kilo plates because
High-fiving you, Josh. You're not narrating.
all right.
Sorry.
From now on, you have to narrate your own gestures because you do that all the time. And after I said it, I'm like, I'm going to be narrating, like half of this damn podcast is going to be me narrating your stupid gestures that you do all the time. So new rule, narrate your own freaking gestures. See how long they last.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah, the Alico bars are just the calibrated kilo plates. Just why? Nobody needs those.
Right.
Sorry, I'm over here giggling.
Describe it.
No. Oh, I just like doing things to just stir the pot sometimes, Josh.
Oh, I never noticed.
No. All right. New lifter tip. How to win in powerlifting. Who doesn't want to know that? The highest total in the weight class wins. If 2 lifters have the same total, the lighter lifter wins. If 2 lifters have the same total and the same body weight, the lifter that achieved the first total wins. If 2 lifters achieve the same total and that total is an American record, the lighter lifter wins the meet, but the lifter that achieved the total first gets the record. That's minutia.
Yeah, it is. The first part is probably the most common, right? Like the highest total in the weight class wins. I think everybody understands that. But then where questions start coming in is, well, what happens if 2 lifters have the same total And, all this is clear in the rule book, but, most people don't read beyond like, oh, if I lift more, I win, which I think people understand that. But yeah, so if two people tie and have the same total, it's, regardless of who did it first, it's who weighs the least amount, they win. That's the tiebreaker. So, a step up from that, what happens if two people tie and they actually have the same exact body weight, which that's very rare. It doesn't happen that often. Which is also why national meets have to have the 2 decimal places for the weigh-ins. That way it's very less likely that 2 lifters have the exact same body weight. So anyway, in that situation, if 2 lifters have the exact same total and exact same body weight, the lifter that achieved the total first wins. As an example, let's say my second deadlift, I did 100 kilos and that gives me a 500 kilo total on my second attempt. Even though I was like the last deadlifter of the flight. But then my opponent in the third round is the first deadlifter and they pull whatever 150 to total 500 and we have the same body weight. I actually win because I got the total first. I achieved it on my second attempt. So even if we're back-to-back lifters, and this is another question that comes up, I guess I should clarify. So it's literally who does it first, not which round you did it in. So if, let's say I do 100 kilos to get my total on my third deadlift, and the very next lifter in the third round does their deadlift to get the total, I still got it first, so I still win. So, it really is very much based on actually when, who did it first, not which round, etc. Because if you think about it logically, the rules of the weight class winner, it's, who does, who's lighter, right? But if you think in terms of records, which is, I guess we're getting to that, records have to be broken. Like if you tie a record, you don't break the record. Like you don't get credit for breaking the record because you tied it. To break a record, you have to actually exceed it. So that's what brings us to the last part with the American record stuff. If 2 lifters do the same total, the lighter lifter wins. But if that total is an American record or any record, whoever achieved the record first is credited with the record. So there's been scenarios where, the national champion was the lighter lifter and they totaled the American record total, but the second place lifter did it first and actually gets credited with the American record total, even though they got second in the weight class, which is kind of weird. But when you understand the full breakdown of how the rules and how it's scored, like that explains why that scenario can happen.
Kind of crazy. It makes me think, like, when you're at an important meet, does that mean you should always spit to just get that extra like point percentage off your weight? Because it could make a difference.
Yes and no. The amount of times that somebody weighs the exact same is very rare. So like even that scenario, the very last scenario with the American record and the placing, like those lifters did not weigh the same. They just totaled the same because the lighter lifter won the meet, but the other lifter that got second lost via body weight, but got their American record total because they achieved that total first. So even in that situation, they weren't the same body weight. Now, if they were the same body weight, then the person that achieved the total first would have got the title and the record because that's the next step in tiebreaker of competition. So in general, you can argue that, but like I always just say, like, just lift 2.5 kilos more. Like instead of like killing yourself to lose like 0.2 pounds, like just eat or drink a little bit, and feel better and lift 2.5 kilos more on your total.
But if you shaved your head or something.
Yeah, those are things that don't affect performance. So absolutely shave your head.
Shave your head. Definitely shave your head.
It just depends. Like if you're eating okay. So that's the thing. I don't have a problem with spitting a little bit off last minute, but if you're like starving yourself, like not drinking any water for like hours to try to like lose a half pound that you don't actually need because you already made the weight, like you're in the weight class, that's counterproductive. Like if you just decide like the last 15 minutes, like you've eaten and drink and you're not hungry or thirsty and you're like made the weight class, but you can spit off like 0.1 pounds. Like, yeah, I might as well. It's not going to hurt anything. Is it necessary? No, but like if you end up being 0.1 less than your competitor, then that turns into body weight advantage. So yeah.
Right. So shave your head. That's what it comes down to.
Yep. Basically shave your head. So everybody, it's going to be the USA BPL, USA Bald Powerlifting.
Bald powerlifting. Yes.
Yeah.
Shave your beard too. Your beard has to go. Sorry, Josh.
I've done it. I've done it. Not to get a little advantage, but to make weight. So
like, I'm so close.
yeah, if I was already in the weight class, I'm not going to that extreme, but like I did have to do it before to make weight.
Does your beard make the difference?
I don't know. I made weight. I don't know. I mean, I was like very close, so I doubt it actually made the difference, but like I was so close and kind of worried about it, so I just kind of pulled out all the stops because I didn't want to have to reweigh. Because if I was like 0.01 over, I got to wait to the end of the line, then I can't eat, and I didn't want to, and I know it was that close. So like, I'm like, screw it. I'll buzz my hair off, beard, and meanwhile I'm spitting the whole time. So
shave your chest, back, legs.
I didn't do that, but put it this way, it would probably make a difference now, but it didn't really make a difference back then. Read between the lines.
Nice. Oh, thanks for the visual. Facts are facts, and you are a hairy man, Josh. So there you go.
Anyway, that's all I got.
Ditto.
All right, cool. Well, again, congratulations to Amy Pancake on winning the Top 5 Driving Songs tournament. Later.
Bye now. I waved just then.
Oh yeah.
That's part of the thing. Bye now. I wave. And
which hand?
My right hand. I make a pass across the screen.
Okay.
Like the sun setting.
All right. So let me give you an example of how they do this. You're close. You're not far off. So Laura just waved by in a half moon motion, left to right with her right hand, basically in a clockwise type motion, while saying bye now and smiling. And the bye now basically is right at the height of the arch. So right as her hand reaches the peak height and starts to descend, finishing the half moon, is when she says bye now and kind of finishes with the nod.
None of our listeners knew that.
Right.
Wow.
Now they do.
I didn't know I was chipping them out. I'm really
and that's also why I stopped listening to other podcasts, because that got so freaking annoying after the first 10 minutes of the first episode. I'm like, some people might find this funny. I find this very annoying and I don't want to listen to it anymore. But I think that maybe we'll do one episode like that, and then like one full episode, and then shut that down because it's annoying.
I'm just going to start sitting on my hands. All right.
Okay.
Have a great week.
Okay. You too, and listeners, you can visualize what's happening here later.
Bye now.
You didn't do the freaking.
Thank you so much for listening. If you enjoyed today's episode of the Powerlifting and Power Ballads podcast, please remember to subscribe and share it with your friends.